evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Take Charge, where it is our mission for our viewers to take charge of their future by taking charge of their now. Look, we always have great shows, and tonight is no exception. But before we start, I just want to pose a question. Do you feel like if you want to become great at something, should there be some sort of progressional state to actually achieve that? Now, a very wise man once told me, if you read 10 pages a day, that means that you could literally read a book a month. One book a month would be 12 books a year, right? So would it be fair to say that if you actually read 12 books in a year, that you would be far greater and far ahead of where you were when you first began? Mm-hmm. Now, look, personally, and I'll be honest, 10 pages a day is even tough for me, but I have to kind of just let you know, what if you were like this gentleman next to me and you read about 5 to 10 books a month? I mean, the wealth of knowledge that this young man has is even inspiring to myself. So I had to bring him on. I had to share with you all of the great things that I have even learned from him through our club Toastmasters. So without further ado, I just want to introduce our guest, Mr. Dominique Brightmon.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Great to see you, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man. It's great. It's great.
It's my pleasure, man. Can you just give our viewers just a little bit of background about your Toastmasters career or anything else that you want to share?
Right. Yeah, Toastmaster International is an organization that's international worldwide, not just in Maryland, not just in the United States of America, but worldwide, Sri Lanka, about 330 plus thousand members across the world. I joined 3 years ago back in 2013 as a member. I originally joined just to learn how to give a public speaking seminar. Not only that, but to also network with others and hopefully try to get a speaker for my seminar for my church because they wanted me to do one. And I didn't know how to do one, and I signed up for it. And after successfully completing it, I stayed with Toastmasters because of the great friendships I've gained. Right. Without Toastmasters, I wouldn't be here with good man Jeff Shepard here. Without it, I would have never actually got extra leadership opportunities and actually have written a book, because Toastmasters is one of those things in those organizations where the more you put in, the more you get out of it.
True.
So, yeah.
So that's a great plug. If you guys are thinking about public speaking or leadership skills, definitely want to go to Toastmasters.com. Look up your local club. And, hey, if you're in the area, man, make sure you come visit us. Right. Now, I want to just, because he's so humble. Let's go back to Toastmasters now. Now, not only were you a member, but now you are a leader,
yes, sir.
right?
Yes,
and
sir.
in fact, if I recall, you're not just president or leader of one club. How many clubs are you running now?
15.
Wow.
Got a teenager on me.
Well, look. I mean, is there any advice? How do you wind up juggling everything?
Juggling everything. Well, I'm not a clown. Got to watch out for those these days. But juggling, it really depends on where your focus is, because wherever your focus lies, that's what you're going to be doing. If you're going to be focused on reading, you're most likely going to read. But if you multitask, you're going to be trying to juggle everything like you mentioned earlier. But with juggling, public speaking is my passion. Helping people is my passion. I love to read books. Books led me to Toastmasters. Work in a library led me to Toastmasters as well. So it's mostly basically through just staying focused on a love for people, not to mention spiritual connection with the Heavenly Father of the creator of the universe right here. And as well as my great friends and families, members, and coaches as well. That's another thing, too, is that if you have a coach or someone backing you, it's always great to have that person, because everybody needs everybody.
Yeah.
We all need somebody to help keep pushing us along. I remember a couple years ago, a friend of mine, a colleague, she was trying to get the certification, and she just told people, and I was like, you know what, let me just encourage this person out of nowhere. And then out of nowhere, a few months after the certification, she said, this was one of the few people that actually stood out and actually kept pushing me. She's like, hey, did you study for that test? Hey, did you study for that test?
Right.
And that just spoke out to me, the fact that we all need somebody to help push us along. Not only that, is the fact that people are watching you. And not just people watching you, they're actually following you in certain ways. They're keeping their eyes on you. I mean, they may be keeping all 4 eyes on you. If you got that third eye, you got that third eye on you. It'll be 5 eyes for me.
Right.
But folks are going to be watching you, and they're going to be seeing, like, okay, what is this person doing? Especially if they're an interesting person. I never sought out to become an interesting person. I sought out to be interested in other people and learning from other people too.
Wow.
So,
And you know what? That's crazy too, because I want to bring that back. And one of the things that really intrigued me about you is that I remember hearing you speak one time, and you even mentioned the fact that you used to be shy.
yes.
Now, it's hard to believe that seeing you now, but it's intriguing to me because this is a young man who was at one point or at one place in life decided that he wanted to be at another place and then actually went and did it. And that is just so intriguing to me. I really have a lot of respect for Dominique, whether he knows that or not. And it kind of brings us to the point today. So last week, we discussed the 3 keys of success, which is to dream it, plan it, then do it. And it's great that we're having this conversation today because I feel like this going north philosophy that we're going to get into, it really encompasses all things because whether you're dreaming it, you must go north, you must go forward. Whether you're planning it, you must have the strength to go forward with those plans. And when you're going to do it, you must have the strength to actually do that action day in and day out. So going north, this philosophy, and if we haven't said anything before, Dominique's actually going to be coming out with a book called Going North. I'm very excited about that. And it's more of a philosophy, but I love the whole premise behind that because there is one direction, and that's up. And north is pointing up. So would you please just kind of give us some background information? How did you even come up with this philosophy, and what does that philosophy mean to you on a personal level?
Right. Yeah, funny thing you should ask that. Going north, a lot of folks who know me, they know that's one of my favorite ways of responding to people because going north originally started as a joke.
And hold on, I want to make sure they get this, so I'm going to just
That's right.
this up so they can hear you, but
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me see if I can project a little more.
Use that Toastmaster's voice. There.
That's right. Be a commanding chief officer. Yes. But yes, going north originally started off as a joke because you know how sometimes folks ask you, hey, how's it going? You would probably say good, can't complain, I'm doing fine. But one day out of nowhere I said, you know what, I'm going north. And then so it was like, okay, that's okay. And I was like, you know what, I was going to run with this to keep on greeting folks with that.
Right.
Lo and behold, a couple years passed by, and then I was challenged to write a book from a fellow Toastmaster because I was handing out reading lists to people, even selling a few copies as well, laminated editions. And she asked me, she's like, okay, these are some great books, but where's your book? And I'm like, my book? I'm 24, and I got C's in high school English class. How the heck am I going to write a book? And then lo and behold, that was last November that happened, and then 11 months later, got a book that's about to be published in a couple weeks. So it's
dream it, plan it, do it. I love it, and it's just inspiring. And I hope my viewers out or the viewers out there are getting inspired here because, like you just said, I'm 24. I got C's and D's. How can I write a book? Why can't you write a book? How bad is your determination? How willing are you to go north, right? And I want to just kind of key in on a point there because a lot of times we kind of get stuck in this mode, and I've been victim of this before. You know, how many times when you're in a conversation, the first thing is, hey, how's it going? Right? We already are thinking about what to say before we actually listen. So there's been so many times where they've asked me how I'm doing, and then I've answered, and I've asked them, but then I ask them again. It's just so natural, right? But kind of breaking up that monotony because words are powerful. And if you sit here and say, hey, how's it going? It's okay. Well, guess what? You're giving yourself permission to feel okay. If someone asks you how you're doing and you wear your heart on your sleeve and you talk about all your woes and your foes, well, again, you're giving yourself permission to feel that. So it kind of goes with that term affirmations. You can even do an affirmation just based on a response that you give other people. If you talk to me nowadays and they ask me how I'm doing, I'm great. I'm fantastic. I'm doing well and getting even better. And when I say that, the energy just kind of comes up. So it's just so funny. Well, it's not even funny. I totally get how a joke about going north can really turn into something great, especially because you've kept that on the tip of your brain and you've gone forward. You're going north.
You're darn right.
So for our viewers out there who may not necessarily be informed about personal development to the extent that you are, or maybe motivational speaking to the extent that you are. I know it started off as a joke, but can we break down that philosophy of going north? Let's really make sure we help our viewers understand that whole key principle.
Right. There's a quote out there in a book. I believe the title was, okay, forget about the title. I've read like over 500 books. The quote goes like this: "A joke is a very serious matter, because in this life of brevity, you need levity." And the joke originally was a joke, but it turned into something serious. Going north is about advancing yourself and helping others to advance as well. That's also one of my life mottos: advance others to advance yourself. And if you're going to advance others by advancing yourself, you have to also add value to yourself as well.
There we go.
That's right.
Hold on. I didn't mean to stop you,
It's
but
all
the reason
good.
why I just felt something, because when you said advancing yourself to advance others, and I'm thinking about the going north, and that's just so key. In order to really advance other people, we have to look inward. And let's just talk about going north. Harriet Tubman, famous person. She was known for freeing slaves, going north, but she couldn't have freed slaves until she freed herself. Right? She had to understand the sacrifices. She had to do that herself before she could help somebody else. And where was the journey going? It was all about going north. And yes, it was a physical north, it was a freedom north, but now we're talking about your mental north, your mind north.
Yes.
And you have to be able to go inside first before you're able to help other people. And this journey has been so amazing, because the more and more that I walk into the speaking, and the more and more I get in line with who I am, the more I realize that it's not about. So the more I learn about me,
Right.
the more I realize it's not about me. It's about who I can help, and just that philosophy has been so life changing, just even in the past few months. And it's just so crazy how your title just encompasses all of that. So I love the title Going North. Now, tell me about have you had some times in your life or where you've had to use that Going North philosophy? I know I have. Yeah. I know I have. And I'm going to share it, but I want to give you an opportunity to just tell us, have you been to a point where that philosophy played a key role in your outcomes?
Yes. Mentioned earlier that I'm a Christian. I believe in the power of Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior, save me. Through his blood, and he was the ultimate advancing man because he gave his life to save others. Another important figure of going north. But personally, yes, there was a time, it was 4 years ago, on my 21st birthday, I got into a car accident. Yeah.
21, huh?
Yeah. One heck of a birthday gift.
Right. Look, I didn't want to say it, but that is kind of crazy on your birthday.
Yeah. I got in a car accident, and it was crazy. But the good thing is the car was broken, but I still wasn't fixed myself. Yeah, and then things were happening on the job. Things were going south in a way. And supervisor had to coach me, because that's another thing about me. I mentioned I was shy earlier. That's still a piece of me in a way, because I'm still a private person in certain respects, because even though it's good to be transparent, the world doesn't need to know everything, because if you try to know everything, you're going to be constipated with information. Coach had to call me in, supervisor had to call me in for a meeting and everything, and she wanted me to shape up, and lo and behold, I picked up some books on leadership from John Maxwell, got into the self-help section, reread the Bible from cover to cover as well.
Wow.
Not only finished the Bible, also read some more books about time management, philosophy, just reading books. And that's another thing, too. Books contain the tools that were used by others in the past, and they're speaking to us from the dead in a way, because even though there may not be someone near you that can help you and coach you, you can still go to your local library and pick up a book, because the library is an information sanctuary. It's a place where there's information that's been stored, and there are people that can help you find that information to help you advance your life and to advance others too. And books are a great way to communicate that.
I agree. And I don't want to get too far off topic, but now I got a philosophy. I mean, now if you went to, it's crazy, Barnes & Noble's multi-million-dollar industry online, they sell all of these books. You go to a free public library, it's barely 30 people in there. It's something about this this free mentality. But don't even get me onto that. So go ahead. So your supervisor called you and you started getting into the self-help. You were reading, you were learning. What happened?
Well, what happened was that I came across something I call the most efficient way to advance yourself. And I call it that because Timothy Ferriss, author of the 4-Hour Workweek, mentions that the average American reads only one book a year after they graduate from college and get their college education. And I guess that mentality comes from, I've read all these darn books I didn't want to read. I got this degree.
I ain't done.
Yes.
I graduated. I don't have to pick up another book.
Yes.
I've been there.
Mm-hmm. And then once they graduate, like, I don't want to see another book. I'm good. I know it all. I've got a job that's not even fitting my degree right now. I'm good.
Right.
But yeah, he says if you read 3 books opposed to the American leads, or less than 1 book a year, you're basically considered an expert in your field. Because if no one out there is reading, they're not going to know what's going on, especially if you're considered a specialist as well. You're basically considered a specialist because you took the time to actually read 3 different books that are informational and educational, and if you implemented stuff from that book and actually seen positive results, you can be considered a specialist and help others to become better in their lives as well.
Let me take a pause. And I hope you guys just heard that because, and I totally agree because it's about numbers. So if the average person doesn't read or just reads 1 book a year and you step that up to 3 books, or I even showed you a formula where you could read 12 books. All you need is 3 to 5 books to become an expert in a particular area. So maybe you have a passion. Maybe it's daycare. Maybe it's arts and crafts. Maybe it's business consulting. Maybe it's paralegal. Go out and get a book.
Yeah, man.
And dedicate yourself to reading 3 to 5 of those books in a year. You're going to be light years above your competition.
You're darn
but
right.
You need to start. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to put that plug in because I think that is so amazing, and it really opened up my eyes. And don't get me wrong, it's easier said than done. I'm probably a couple of days off of my reading, so I'm going to be totally honest. But the thing about it is you can always pick up where you left off. You can always do that. And I try not to beat myself up because I know, hey, I'm going to start where I'm going to start, and I'm going to finish where I finish, and I'm okay with that.
That's right.
So you're talking about how books can help you become an expert. You found the efficient way to success, and then what happens?
And then what happens, you start implementing some of the techniques from your reading. One of the techniques is the New Year's mantra. I finally came with the name for it. We have about 79 days left until 2017.
Okay.
And folks have set New Year's resolutions in the past, and come January 13th, they're like, okay, what's that New Year's resolution? Yeah, go to the gym, or should I say the gym.
Right.
Yeah, then they go to the gym and at least 12 days before, and then they forget what their New Year's resolution was, and then they just go back home depressed because they didn't pick up a weight, they didn't get on the machine. Instead of setting a New Year's resolution, I decided to set my years around a certain theme, 1 to 3 words. So 2013, that was a few months after the car accident, I went ahead and themed 2013 around rebirth. That's when I started in the personal development, reading books and things like that. 2014 was strength. That's when I started doing more CrossFit at CrossFit Gainesville and becoming stronger as well. And then 2015 was the year of Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy, a Japanese word for continuous improvements.
Okay.
Incremental improvements in simple steps. So that way they'll compound over time, as opposed to shooting for everything at once and then losing everything. You actually take little bitty steps and try to improve on what you're doing right now, and then have it compound over time.
And you know what? I think that's so important because, and I mean, even now I can use that philosophy, but I think that's important, especially when we're talking about New Year's resolutions. We sit here and we make these high expectations and these high goals, and we almost make them too high. So when we don't reach them, we feel depressed and we give up. But I really like that way of thinking. You know what? This year is going to be all about strength. So now everything that I'm doing is aligned with that, whether it's physical strength, mental strength, relationship strength, whatever that strength may be to you at that time, you can dedicate that whole year. And then that way you're not feeling like you're behind the gun or behind the ball because it's all the whole year is dedicated to that particular topic. I love it. I love it, and I agree with you. When you try to do too many things at one time, and I'm trying to learn this lesson before I lose everything, but you get to a point where things do start happening, and you really have to focus on those avenues or those areas that you want to actually complete, because things start to really pull you in different directions, especially when you are going north, right? When you're going north, that's when everything wants to pull you south or pull you east or pull you west. Mm-hmm. So honestly, identifying where you want to go, I think that's really key in continuing to go north, because the one thing I want to put in here is everyone's north is different. Everyone's mental north is different. So it's about finding your mental north and your mental pathway to actually getting there. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to put that in there right there.
No, it's all good. I like what you said about mental north. It's like your MN, your mental north. Everybody has different goals and aspirations, but we all can help each other get to where they want to be. Like, hey, you want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a public speaking librarian. Somebody else wants to be the best darn gym coach in the world. So
right.
It could be anything, but we can all help each other, because at the end of the day, we're all human. We all need inspiration, motivation, education. And you got to try to take charge of your life and learn the best skills that you can.
Hey, I love the plug-in right there.
That's right. We got to plug in the show, man.
And I mean, but it's true, and that's really the whole emphasis behind Take Charge. Is taking charge of your mental and physical and spiritual awareness. And I want to make that point. My philosophy is this. In order to really achieve what you want to do, you have to be comfortable and confident in who you are. And it's so important, but I think so many people don't even understand the power that they possess. So understanding where you want to go, understanding what gifts that you actually have, and actually embracing those and developing those, that is the key. Because we sit here and we talk about, oh, we need peace and we need to come together, and I agree. But my philosophy is this: our strength is in our differences. Right. Our strength is our differences. Right. Because guess what? You and I may not have the same desire, but your desire may help feed mine, and vice versa. So when we can start to embrace people's differences and utilize them instead of hating on them or shunning them, whether it's the color of their skin, whether it's their educational background, whether it's their experience, when we can actually appreciate the differences, then we can start to come at a place for peace. But we can't even appreciate the differences if we really don't even understand who we are. And it's okay to be different. I mean, it's necessary to be different. I mean, I'm sure you've read in your books, and when I get into business and I'm talking about niche, you've got to find your target market. You've got to find your niche. That's the whole point. Who are you? What gifts do you have? Once you find that, taking that path to go north. That's it. And I want to elaborate on that. So let's just say we have a viewer, or we're working with someone who now they found their purpose. They found their goal. They found something that they're very passionate about, and they're excited. They're happy, and everything is working. And finally, we get to a roadblock. What would you say to that person who is motivated, who's educated, who's reading the books, who's doing the work, but now they've hit a roadblock?
Right. When you've hit a roadblock, make sure that you get around positive people who are goal-oriented. Find yourself a mentor. Find yourself a coach. I have coaches and mentors myself, even within Toastmasters. Like sometimes there may be a night where I may not be at my best, and someone encourages me, because there may be times, even the motivational speakers themselves need motivation, because there will be
agree.
times. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, because behind the stage, behind all the cameras, with their families and everything, it's like once all the lights are off and it's just them, and they're communicating to God or whoever or anybody at that point, they're going to need motivation themselves. So what I would suggest to them is go out to the places where the people are friendly and they're goal-oriented. Like I mentioned, Toastmasters, that's a great place to start, even at your local church as well. If they're friendly. I've been to some churches and they're not too friendly. So, yeah, nothing against some of the churches, but go to a place where there's people who are about upward mobility, advancing themselves and advancing others. Yes.
And that's key. And honestly, that question was strategic, and I'll tell you why. Because when and if you don't know, and my viewers do know, but if you're just joining us, we are definitely on the road to entrepreneurship. We're on the road to greatness, and we want to take everybody with us. But I can't go through that road without having my own story. So I used to be an educator for 12 years. Had this grand idea to just up and leave my job one day and start this entrepreneurial journey. Without realizing I had no idea what business was, what personal development was, and I fell rock bottom. So I hit even though I was motivated, I was hungry, as Les Brown would say. I was hungry, but then I hit a roadblock, and then that roadblock started to turn to doubt, right?
Right.
And again, a motivational speaker with doubt is like, hold up, that's so conflicting. I mean, I'm trying to get people to not be doubtful, but here I am doubting myself, and I secluded myself. I secluded myself. I shut myself away from friends. I shut myself away from family, and it almost got, not even almost, you get into a depressive state. But then I got an epiphany, and thank God that you do have people around you. Right. There was one gentleman, I mean, Kevin White, I got to put his name out there. He constantly fed into me, and that helped. And then I realized that, you know what, it is about your circle. So now gaining that mentorship, like you said, with the Toastmasters and different business partners that I'm aligning with. And it's so interesting how many people, if you're willing, see, that's the thing. You've got to be willing to go out. But if you're willing to go out, there are so many people who are willing to pour back.
Right.
And it's almost to a point. So I've been doing that for a while now, and you may have your moments, but now it's a strength, it's a confidence that you just can't deny. You can't deny, and I really think that's what's causing this momentum at this point, and I'm thanking God for where it is and where it's going to take me, and I know it's going to be great things, but I couldn't have gotten there without the help of other people. Right. And that's the most important thing. So when you meet, and I'm so glad you said that, when you hit your roadblock, seek out advice, seek out partnerships, seek out people who are going the way where you want to go. I actually have a mentor of mine, and he says something very, very funny but very true. If you want to know where to be in 10 years, find someone who's already doing what you want to do and has done it for 10 years, right? You get that expert opinion, right? But a lot of times, what do? We go to our boys, right? Yeah. Or we look on the internet for someone who just blogged something and may not even have that experience, right? So that's what we mean by going out and seeking. Right. Seek and ye shall find. But we've gotten to this mentality where it's like, okay, I'm just going to wait here and let it find me. It's not going to work. Look, again, let's go back to going north. You actually have to go forward. You can't just stand in the middle of your compass and think that things are going to just naturally happen. You've got to, sometimes you got to go up a mountain. Sometimes you got to go down a hill. Sometimes you got to cross a river. Sometimes you got to climb a tree. Sometimes you might have to fight an animal. Or, I mean, but you got to keep pressing forward. You got to keep, sometimes going north, sometimes you may have to hide, and you may have to stay stationary for a second and let the negativity pass, right? I mean, sometimes you may have to reflect, but the thing about it is always going forward. And that's what I really get from your philosophy of the going north, and that's why I'm so excited to get a copy of your book, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's just a great mental way to just keep reminding yourself to keep pushing forward.
That's right. You got to keep pushing forward. Nowhere to go but forward.
So as we come to a close here, let's just take a recap. Right. Going north is not just a saying; it's a philosophy. In order to go north, you must have a starting place and you must have an end place. So if you don't have a goal in mind, it's kind of hard to dictate where north is. If you don't have a compass or a set of directions, how do you know where you're going? And see, when you don't know where you're going, it's easy to get lost. Can you imagine Harriet Tubman going north but going deeper south? Can you just imagine the trouble and probably wouldn't even be in the history books, but because she continued to go north, we will remember her name forever. And the key that Dominique and I want to make sure that we're saying, you have the same greatness. maybe not in the same capacity. Obviously, we're talking about Harriet Tubman. It's a different time. But the greatness is still there, none the same. And you have that ability to do great things. But you must, one, make a plan, and you must continue to press forward even when you hit a roadblock. Even when you hit a roadblock. Dominique said he was going through some turmoil at his job. But instead of crying about it, or instead of quitting, or instead of giving up, he took that as action to move forward. He went for what he wanted. He started reading. He started aligning himself. He found Toastmasters. He found church, and he kept pressing forward. Dominique, before we let people know how to contact you, do you want to end off with anything or share any of your philosophies or wisdom or anything with our viewers?
Oh, sure thing. Recently mentioned that Found Church. I've actually been a church boy all my life at the Moriah Baptist Church, where we do believe in radical hospitality and helping others to find Jesus Christ. But also,
apologize.
It's all good. There's a lot of my backstory that folks don't know about, and mentioned earlier, kind of a private person in some ways, but it's all good. But at the end of the day, you can reach me at donbrightmon.com. That's a website that's going to be up in a few months. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn at Don Brightmon. If you want to contact me or even get a copy of the 100 books for dynamic living as well. This is the 2016 edition. Also, this will be included in the book, but an enhanced version as well, because there are some books on this list that are out of print, and don't want to recommend the book to somebody and they can't even find the book.
Well, and I hope your book's going to be on there as well. And yes. Folks, listen. You can't summarize this young man's personality in 30 minutes. But when I tell you I am excited to get his book because I know the wealth of knowledge that's going to be in there, I'm telling you, you really want to make sure you get your copy. So how could I get my copy? Because I know it's coming out when?
Yes, October 30th is the date for the paperback edition as well as Kindle, so we'll be on Amazon.com. Feel free to drop on by, drop the money, and read the book. Share it with your friends, share it with your family. Tell your mama, your daddy, your sister, your cousin. Tell your Uncle Tyrone. Tell everybody about Going North as well. And there will be some book signings in the future. Plan to do some book signings in 2017 as well. The Going North tour is going to be phenomenal. And
look, you're already thinking North, going on tour. I love it.
That's right, because there's a lot more victories on the table for not just me, but everybody else. Out to the whole world out there, if you're listening and watching this, there's more victories out there for you to reach and grab. Of course, there's some times where it's not all just about stuff. There's more peace for you to have. There's more serenity. There's more victories. There's even a closer connection with Christ the Lord and Savior. There's more that you can have in this life, because if you wake up, there's going to be a reason why you woke up that day. There's more victories out there for you, so just walk. That's probably the main thing I want to leave with everybody, is that whatever victory you've had in the past, you can celebrate it, but not for too long, because times of celebration is when sometimes your defenses are down. That's when you have to keep pushing and keep your nose to the grindstone, because there's more victories out there for everyone.
You know what, and that's great. And please make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to keep you guys posted on when his release date is. We'll make sure we give links. I'm telling you, this book is going to be a classic. And when I say it's going to be a classic, I know this for a fact. You definitely want to make sure you get your copy. And as we come to a close, let me just add on to what Mr. Brightmon just said, because it's so powerful. There's always an opportunity for more. There's always an opportunity to go north. If you've woken up today, you've got a chance to do something greater than you did before. And that's the one thing I love about this title, because the more you're willing to go north, the further you can go. There is no end. You can go as far north as you can dream. So dream big. Dream big. There is no cap. There is no ceiling to your greatness except for the one you place on yourself.
That's right.
And as we leave, like I always say, make sure you take charge of your thoughts, take charge of your actions, take charge of your destiny. Take care. Oh, man, that was perfect. Love it. Can't wait to watch that again.
It's going to be, and that's the classic, baby. Vintage classic.